God allows trials and adversity to put us in a gymnasium situation. Just like the Father did with his son Jesus, he creates a workout scenario that includes a difficulty that we must work through. A lady came to work out at the gym. Everything about her, what she had on, all of it said she was there for a killer workout. She wore the typical attire. She had a headband on, wristbands, a bottle of water on her hip. She was ready to go. She stepped into a clear area, bent down, touched her toes, in an attempt to stretch. And then she went about, grabbed some dumbbells, walked over to a bench and sat down. Lifting the weights, she did a couple of bicep curls. Then she put the weights down, wiped herself off with the towel, and in an exasperated voice, she said, "Whew, that's enough for today." So she really, she looked the part, but she really wasn't at the gym to work out. Many Christians come to church every Sunday looking like they are ready for a workout. We wear the right clothes, sing the right songs, and talk the right talk. But building real strength requires real effort and a little sweat. Mm-hmm. God figures that we will not voluntarily go to a spiritual gym, so he brings the gym to us. Adverse circumstances, cross-bearing situations, difficult scenarios, and problematic encounters will serve as opportunities for Christian growth. So, I believe that. I believe that if God did not place me in a position to experience different adversities, trials, tribulations, that I would not voluntarily dive into those things. But of course, we realize the only way to gain strength, in an area is through repetition. It's not going to be by looking at it, by talking to it, by touching it, by smelling it. Those things do not accomplish what you're going to need on your spiritual journey. So what you're going to have to do is go through the process, go through the problems, endure those cross-bearing situations and those adverse circumstances so that you can grow spiritually, so that you can gain spiritual muscle, because a lot of us lack spiritual muscle. And it's because we aren't willing to endure or go through the things that we may be placed in. We'll run from it. We'll ignore it instead of actually facing whatever God has put in front of us for us to have to go through. The areas that we need to work on are areas that we're going to need on our next level or in our new season. So, you have to look at it as a bridge instead of a burden. So he's going to connect the two and allow us to grow in a way that would prepare us for our next level. But understand that your next level may be a level of victory. And instead of being down or sad because you're having to experience this, you got to learn to look at it through the right perspective. Sometimes we just get so caught up in doing things based on how we feel instead of based on what we know. And what you know is, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. What you know is that God has never failed you. What you know is that when you are weak or wherever you're weak, he is strong. That's what you know. So do things based on what you know, not what you're feeling. Because it's not going to always feel good. But then the end result, when you're in a physical gym and you're working out and it's hurting and you're ready to stop, but you don't stop, you are excited about the results. And people don't go to the gym just to work out one area only their entire time that they're going. They choose a day to work on a different thing, right? So that those different areas are being strengthened and conditioned constantly. And it's the same way in our spiritual walk and in our spiritual journey that, God has to allow things to come about in order to strengthen us or to allow us to gain spiritual muscle. If you lack patience, then you can get ready to encounter situations that make you wait. And you got to learn to wait without being frustrated before you advance to the next level. If you are struggling communicating with God, then he's going to continue to put you in situations that would force you to a position where you must pray. so your prayer life can be strengthened and you gain the prayer muscle that you need. And in the same way with faith, when you lack faith, you know, it's just going to go on and on, depending on what it is you lack and what it is you are in need of. The muscle that you need the most is going to have to be worked. And it's going to seem like a headache. It may cause some heartache, you know, but what I have learned in my own being is that it changes you, and it changes you for the better. And I don't want to be stuck, you know. I don't want to stay in the same place. And when we get unhealthy in our physical bodies, and when we gain more weight than we want to, or in a certain area we may not like the way it looks, then we begin to work on that area. So God is already looking at you. He knows you. He created you. And so he knows what area needs the most work. Therefore, you know, he's going to put you in situations that would allow that area to be worked on. Of course, you don't like it. You know, I mean, I used to have a terrible attitude. And so I found that constantly I was in a situation where I was ready and willing to exhibit my negative attitude. You know, so until I learned how to be quiet, until I learned that I need to refrain from saying what I'm thinking, and I don't need to act in the manner that I constantly act in, because it got me in more trouble time and time again. Nothing was changing, just the days. You know, I'm you know, stuck in these situations, and they just kept coming. And then I shut my mouth. So the experience began to be less and less. You know, it stopped being that every time I turn around, I'm ready to act crazy or cuss somebody out. Truth be told, you know. So then God fixed it where I learned how to be quiet. God is big, because somebody tonight has a problem with word vomit.
That's right.
They got a bad attitude, and they just keep talking, and every situation gets worse and worse and worse, and they don't want to be quiet. But I suggest you begin to close your mouth, because God needs you to. And so he's trying to get you to understand that you don't have to say everything that you're thinking, nor do you have to react negatively in every situation that pushes up against your pride. We got to be able to withstand those things. See, now, you know, I realize that the situations don't occur. I'm not even in a place, I guess my perspective is so different, that when I'm in a situation where somebody seems negative or a little rude, you know, I just don't even see it as such. It's more so me seeing it as I am praying for you, because clearly you're experiencing something, a hardship, some type of difficulty, you know. But back in the day, I might would have pulled somebody through that drive-through window trying to have an attitude. But y'all got to learn, it's not about that. And it's not going to allow us to gain anything fighting or, you know, just running our mouths, walking in them circles. I got so tired of walking in the same place, doing the same thing. And in order for God to advance us to a new level, there's going to be some opposition. There's going to be some struggle. There's going to be some strains, you know. But the bigger the problem, the bigger your future. The supernatural strength that we need can only come from the Lord. And it took supernatural strength for me to be controlled in situations that I wanted to be uncontrolled. You know, I understood that it wasn't in my might or in my strength that I could control my mouth and my attitude, but through the spirit that resided in me, which, you know, all of you have, whether it's dormant or not. You know, and some of us, the spirit is dormant because we just don't access it. You know, we don't communicate, we don't pray, we don't read, we don't fast, we don't fellowship. But it's time to begin to do something new. And, you know, people are always excited about a new year, but they go into the new year being the same person they've always been. Well, I don't know why you have these expectations that things are going to change or be so different in 2018 if you're going to behave just like you did in 2017. You understand that those things are not going to go together, and you're not going to see any results that are going to be different from what you're already experiencing. So you're going to have to begin to do things differently. You're going to have to be new and take on a newness. And, you know, when something is new, there's an excitement. There's an invigoration about being new. You know, a new car drives better than a very old car. You know, new moms are way more excited about being a mom than old moms. You know what I'm saying? So in those situations, you recognize that you're ready for something new. Then go for it. Then be that, you know. I'm also reminded that in the Bible, it told us that David only had a slingshot and 5 smooth stones as he faced the giant Goliath. Mm-hmm. You're facing your biggest giant, and you think you need so much. He was tiny. He only had 5 smooth stones, and it only took one to kill the giant. Mm-hmm. And in the same way, what's on the inside of us? Mm-hmm. You know, God lives in us, and he is ready and willing to defeat our enemy mm-hmm. for us.
That's right.
And give us the power to do so. You know, I like to think about the fact that the power that raised Jesus from the dead resides in us. That's big. So if you think of that, how could you expect to, you know, not be able to succeed and not trust God and allow him to do what he does? Because he does it so greatly, you know. And it ain't that we have to beg him to do this for us. He naturally does it. He loves us. And so, you know, that supernatural thing that you need, he's got it. He's going to do it for you. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I want you to understand, if you are facing it now, if you're going to face it next year, whenever you're facing it, you need to know it can be defeated. And it ain't going to take a whole lot, because God is so great, mm-hmm. you know, and you're prepared for that. Mm-hmm. So you just got to quit trying to give up, quit laying down and in the midst of your test and not getting what you need. So, you know, as you learn your lessons and as you experience these trials and you go through these hardships and your spiritual muscle is being strengthened and gained, you know, glory be to God for that. Your next level, you're going to need it. And you're going to be able to get through. And, I'm just excited about my next level, because I have definitely faced a lot of adversity this year. But in retrospect, I actually think I face a lot of adversity every year. But again, the bigger the problem, the bigger your future. So for where God is taking me, I might have had to experience more trials and more tests than someone else. Mm-hmm. Not to say I'm better than anyone else, but just simply because of where I'm destined to go mm-hmm. and what he has called me to do, mm-hmm. he has to take me through more than mm-hmm. someone else. But I can go through those things because of him and still smile, mm-hmm. still lovingly give you a message 3 times a week because of God's greatness and because of my perspective of the things that I have to experience. See, I already know that it's going to be all right. You know, God reassures me constantly that it's going to be all right. Mm-hmm. So we get weary. And we don't want to do this or we don't want to do that, and we just don't know if it's going to work out. Trust me when I say, based on experience, it's going to work out. God is going to do it, because he that's just what he does. But you need to be in a place to receive what he's doing in your life. You need to be in a place where you understand, God, if I need to be strengthened in this area, I've got to go through these trials regarding it, and I'm going to keep having these experiences until I pass. So, Lord, please help me. Help me to be quiet. You know, help me to pray more. And when you begin to ask, you shall receive. Sometimes we are so, caught up in how we're feeling, and I just don't feel like it anymore. I don't want to pray. I don't want to read. It's just not working for me. He's not answering me. But I'm going to need for you to understand, you gotta work too. You got to be able to do what you're supposed to do. And you got to endure those things so that you can be greater, so that you can have what you need as you continue on and up. So, I could go on and on, y'all, but I've seen the clock. Good God Almighty, that went fast tonight. So, I love you. I'm praying for you all. I hope you have a happy New Year's. I am praying that you're smart and wise about what you're choosing to do on tonight, and do what you do best. That's being you. God bless you in 2018. This week's shout out goes to my lovely mother. Her name is Constance Solis. She celebrated her birthday yesterday. And to my awesome brother-in-law, Gregory King. He too celebrates his birthday on today. Happy birthday, y'all. I love you. God bless you. See you next week.